Yes, it's welcome to Monday's English lesson. Today we are learning about developing ideas for a balanced argument. Your success criteria: I want you to be able to suggest ideas to support varying points of view. In a balanced argument, even if you believe one side more than the other, you have to be able to suggest ideas for both points of view. I want you to be able to use evidence from an additional source to support your ideas, and that today is going to be from the book Trash. And I want you to be able to evaluate the quality of the different points, the arguments on the different points of view. Okay, so which side is more persuasive? And I want you to be able to explain why you think one side is more persuasive than the other with reasoning. So back it up with some thought, some explanation. Okay, so today you're going to be reading Part 2, Chapter 1. Now, the interesting thing about Trash is it's split into different parts. Not only is it split into chapters, it's split into Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and so on. Each part has a different number of chapters, and you'll start to understand why when you see how each chapter is written. Okay. Now, on Friday, I had a couple of messages from children saying they were struggling to find Chapter 6 from Part 1. It was on Seesaw, it still is on Seesaw, but it is attached to Part 2, Chapter 1. Okay, it's how the book has been put together to go on to Seesaw. They're always on there. However, because the children in school are slightly ahead but through the use of this book, by the end of it, we'll all be at the same stage, but at this point, they are slightly ahead. It might just be further down the activity list. However, what I am going to do is we're going to put the links to the Seesaw activities onto the school website, so you have them there for you to use. So you click on that link, it'll take you straight to the right Seesaw activity. Now, if you've missed Part 1, Chapter 6 on Friday, you can have a read of it today, and then you can carry on straight on to Part 2, Chapter 1, which is the bit you'll need for today. All right. So, having read the book, you'll have learned a bit more over time about the life of a dump site child. And I want you to think about how is that life different to the lives that we live in England and Britain today. Everybody within our class, within our school, will live different lives, will have slightly different home lives. But it's very different to the life of these dump site children. I want you to think about how and in what way is it different. Really think about that today. So, a key question for today's task is education essential for all? I want you to link your work today closely to Trash, not just children and life in general. Think about these children in the book Trash. Is education essential for all? So through today's task, I want you to be thinking, is education essential for the children that live on this dump site? Will getting an education make a huge difference to their lives? Okay? Now, some could argue that, well, if you have an education, you can get a better job and you can therefore make money and they can stop living on a dump site. Quite right. However, if they spend all day at school, what are they not spending their time doing that actually might save their lives? These children don't get home to a cooked meal each night. They have to look and find food. So if they're spending all day getting an education, they're not looking for food, could they starve? Those are the sorts of things I want you to think about, and use those points to create a balanced argument and see which side you think at the end is more persuasive. Okay, so you will complete the table that I've provided for you. Give reasons for both points of view. Okay, make sure that some support the idea that all children need school. Make sure also that others explain why it's not necessary for some children. Okay, and link it to our book, Trash. Don't just say children that are born into rich families don't need an education because they'll have all the money they need. That is not what we're discussing here today. What we're discussing here today is why would it not be essential for a child living on a dump site? Think really, really carefully about that. Okay? Good luck with the work. I'm really, really intrigued to see what points you manage to sort of create and come up with. Because although I've got my own ideas, you always manage to come up with something that surprises me. So good luck with that work.